We about to get this thing started, people. I'm back. I am back.
Many things going on in the world today. Every time Dick and Harry got something to say. But what they said ain't got no fabric to it. Yay takes and thoughts with dice right through it. It's all about rumors and people feuding. If we're not uplifting, then what we doing? Yeah, they love the culture, yet they trying to wreck it. But are we ready to go hard to protect it? If we don't stand firm, then we're sure to fall. Are you ready to fight the stain and accept the call? Or it's all about dealerships and the mall? Now I'm ready to go for broke like Apostle Paul. I'm charged with the task to keep it real. Moving straight forward, not about to yield. Tackling every subject, yeah, you know the drill. R.I.P. Guru, I bring that mass appeal. Our ancestors stood tall despite abuse. We got all the tools, so what's our excuse? It's time to show a face and take off the mask. It's something every yay, it's the podcast. 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 It's something every yay, it's the podcast.
What it do? What it do? What it do? I am back. I am back after a week hiatus. I'm your host, Danye F. Jones. It's some every yay the podcast. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I took a week off, had to take care of some things, but hope everybody been good and everything. I am blessed, and I'm gonna say highly favored because I woke up today. Didn't have to wake me up, but he did. But before we get this show, we got a special show, special guest tonight. But few little housekeeping things as we always do. Want everyone to go to YouTube. You must go to Danye F. Jones. Subscribe to the podcast. Click that bell, click that bell, click that bell. Cost you absolutely nothing. Just click it. Subscribe. Also, you can follow me Instagram, Coach_Jones32. Also on Instagram, the cola underscore 32. Cost you nothing to do that either. But we're gonna bring our special guest in momentarily. But like I said, I was gone for a week and a half. Well, a week. 2 weeks ago, we had our men's conference. I'm over the men's ministry at my church, and we usually do different things in terms. We usually have speakers and whatnot. We wanted to try something different this year, so we did something different. Did something very different. We went to, Kentucky to see the Ark. They have a replica of Noah's Ark. I'm gonna tell you something. Put it on your to-do list. You're gonna get a great appreciation for what God can do, and understand we have undersold Noah. We hear about the flood and how he built the ark. But once he had built the ark, the maintain, the administration, the leadership to make that thing still go with all the responsibilities that they had to do once they were on the ark. I'm gonna show this here. This is wild. Okay. This is the ark. This is Noah's ark. This is wild. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This is crazy. Now, that was huge. Now we chartered a bus, but we had to park our bus. Then you got to get on one of their buses to the ark. It was absolutely insane. I mean, awesome, awesome trip. I mean, put it on your to-do list for real. So much other things. Do they have a zoo there? They have zip lining, restaurants. I mean, this is outside the restaurant. We was in the restaurant. That's like it's incredible. Very incredible sight to see. So definitely. So that whole weekend was a great weekend. Great weekend. It's a picture we took there. It's me obviously in the middle there, the tallest one. To my left, my pastor in the gray sweatshirt there, but it was like 40 brothers went down there. It was cool. A few of our young men, boys went. So it was absolutely cool. Absolutely cool. And obviously, our men's day, just a couple of pictures of us. We all rocked our green ties. It's our 55th year. Um, Church anniversary, so green's the theme color. That's a picture of all the men, the black suits and green. So it was real cool, real cool. Just wanted to share that real quick. Um, Next thing I want to talk about real quick, early voting has started. Early vote has started. Here are the states. All the blue states, you have options to vote early, in person, and by mail available to all voters. All these blue states. The yellow states, you have the option to vote early in person, available to all voters. Eligible reason required to vote by mail, which means you can't just vote by mail. You got to have a legit reason. The red it means states that no early in person voting option is available to all voters. Eligible reason required by mail. Look at the red state. That's Alabama and Mississippi. And I think there's one on the upper right. That might be Maine or Rhode Island, one of those. So this is something we need to go and get out there and go and vote early because, things happen. Things happen. So you want to make sure you go out there and vote. Those people saying don't vote, that's crazy. But we ain't going to get into that today. And lastly, before I bring my guest on, fun fact, I just thought this is absolutely just a fact for no reason. The apple pie. You hear people say apple pie, it says American is apple pie. Well, apple pie isn't actually American at all. It says here, apples are in fact native to Asia, and the first recorded recipe for apple pie was actually written in England. You saying, why are you showing that? One, because I can. But secondly, it's to show another thing America is trying to take credit for. I mean, hey, because you always hear that term, this is American as apple pie. But I thought that was tripped out. So don't use that term if you want to use that term. But just a fun fact I want to throw out there. But let me go and get this thing started. I want to bring on my guest. Right now. Let's see here. Bringing her on now. Let me get myself here going here. Let me change this here for 1 second. Oh man, let me see. I'm trying to get this background up out of there. Right. Yes. All right. Hello, hello, hello. How you doing, Miss Hurst?
I'm great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I can,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. So my people out here, this is Miss Felicia A. Hurst. I don't know what the A is. I'm gonna say your whole government name, but the middle initial is A. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this young lady here. Felicia Hurst, she's an experienced healthcare professional with almost 30 years of experience in the field. Her career began in healthcare IT at the University of Illinois, but she quickly developed a passion for improving the patient experience, which led her to become the system director of customer experience at Ohio Health, located in Columbus, Ohio. After 7 years with this great organization, Felicia became the senior director of patient experience at one of the top pediatric health systems in the country. Now, I'm going to go a little more to that because I have some questions, but I'm going to stop right there. There's more. I'm going to start off first here because I was reading more and I have more questions that came up prior to you coming. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. But first, let's start off. Where were you born, a young lady?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, Chicago born.
Chicago,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay. Siblings?
I have a younger sister, an older sister, and older brother. So there are four of us.
Oh, older brother. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do. I do. A lot of people, they always say that. Yeah. He's
Oh
the
no.
oldest.
Oh wow. And he had three little sisters. Oh Lord, I pray for him.
Well, he got married early, so he was
Oh,
out.
okay. Yeah, he had to get out of there. Yeah, because that had to be rough. And well, I pray for your dad because your dad had to deal with
I know
all
it
those
wasn't rough
women
for him.
with dad in the house. Okay, so let me ask you this: so, with your family, how would you describe your life growing up? What was your upbringing like?
Very rooted in Christ, in church. So my parents were very strict, very strict. We grew up Church of God in Christ, and so you know how that is.
Yes.
But thankful for my foundation. So it was very, very strict, very family oriented. I used to say, "Hey, we were the Huxtables." We didn't have the money as the Huxtables, but
Right, right,
I just thought that we had love. So we had Christ as a foundation, and Christ is love, and so everything wasn't perfect by no
right.
means, but parents still together 50 plus years.
Praise God.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, so well, let me ask, did you go to public high school or to private high school? And what schools, period, elementary or not?
Yeah, so elementary, it was public. I went to Georgia and Pullman School. I grew up in the Roseland community,
Okay,
which is one of the roughest neighborhoods in
absolutely.
Chicago.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but my parents was adamant that, hey, you grew up here, but you're not of here. You're gonna have a
Right.
different upbringing. So I went to a public grade school, and then for high school, I went to Academy of Our Lady for 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
And my parents were like, "This is not it. It's not it." And was transferred to Oak Forest Christian Academy, where
Okay.
there was only 40 of us in our graduating class and only like three blacks.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So your schools they have extracurricular? Do you involve any extracurricular activities at the school?
Yeah, I was I was a cheerleader
Okay.
at the school, and we were so because it was a Christian school, we were so heavily involved in the Word and the Bible, and so it wasn't a Catholic school; it was Christian, and so we didn't have prom, we didn't have homecoming, and things like that. But it really did set me up for my life journey. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So now we graduate, we're going off to college. Where did you go?
Yeah, I went to Talladega, Alabama, which is a historically Black college.
Yep. Yep.
And, that college actually set me up for success as well. People say, "Oh, wow, you went to Talladega College. It's a small college," but school is what you make of it.
Right.
And I can say that it has, along with God, paved the way to where I'm at now. And so, love
Yes,
it.
and yes. When people say that, well, obviously, I always rep Grambling, and initially I was at Winston-Salem State. But one thing about the smaller schools, the class sizes are smaller, and you really, really get in. You can have real relationship with your professors, and I don't know if you had this experience, but I know for me, the professors, they were your professors, but they was like your dad, your aunts, your uncles. They
Mhm.
strive for you to strive for excellence. I mean,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
would they because like, hey, your mom, I'm your mom, and I'm your daddy. You know, no, you can't say that, can't do this. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Whereas some of the larger schools, you have 300 students, you're literally just a number. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I had gotten accepted into UCLA, and that was the school I wanted to go to attend. And your parents know you; they know
yeah,
that you're not ready for it, and
right.
so my mom was like, "Nah."
Okay, okay. So you graduate. Your undergrad was in what field?
Computer science with a minor in mathematics.
Okay, okay. And then now, did you go? Because I know you have your MBA. Did you go straight into your master program?
I did not. Actually, after graduating from college, it was not easy. I worked at Burger King. I did,
Oh, wow.
and I did. I worked at Burger King, and I prayed and I told God, okay, I'm going to flip these burgers as if I'm the CEO of Burger King,
Right.
and I began to do that and watch God work in my life, and did some substitute teaching and became a school teacher actually at Mendel High School. And it
Okay.
actually was, they had converted it to a mixed school. But yeah,
Wow. Okay. So when did you decide to go get your MBA?
that wasn't until 2008. is when I
Oh,
decided to
really?
do that. Yeah, yeah, it wasn't until way after, because I had gotten so into my career. So
Mhm.
once that door opened in computer science, when I started working for Mount Sinai Hospital in Chicago, once the door opened and, you just get caught up in that.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
like door after door. I was like, okay, let me slow down and go back to school.
Okay. So I was reading here, like when you was in healthcare IT at University of Illinois, it says improving patient experience. What exactly were you doing exactly? What does that mean?
Yeah, so with the University of Illinois, it was funny because I was in IT for most of my career at the University of Illinois. It wasn't until my sister-in-law, she wasn't my sister-in-law then, but she was the chief experience officer, and I was managing projects for her. So I was in IT managing projects, and she began to talk to me about patient experience, and she was like, "You know what? That is something you should really get into." And I was so naive and ignorant. I thought that patient experience was about patient service, so like customer
Okay.
service.
Right.
And I was like, you actually want me to go from being a nerd to customer service, like taking complaints? I was like, how dare
Yeah,
you?
right, right.
Not knowing that that was not only the path that became my passion and purpose, but it was what God has had for me too.
So let me ask you this. So just give me an example. Did you have to deal with families who may not necessarily had maybe someone in the family had a surgery need to happen or something major, but they were not financially, the insurance did not cover. Did you have to deal with anything like that?
Um, If there was a complaint that came around that, absolutely. If they needed someone to kind of help them navigate through it, yes. But what I do is, and it's funny because I'm a part of everyone's journey. So just think of an experience. If you go to the store, you walk in the store, no one speaks to you, you can't find what you need, or you call to make a complaint, or you call because your delivery wasn't on time. Each part of that, of your journey, is an experience. And if there's a hiccup in that experience, then there is an issue. So
Yes.
I work with everyone in the hospital. I have a dotted line to the CEO, the president. And so he and I are really hand in hand, locked hand in hand. But I also build relationships with people in billing. I work closely with doctors. I train doctors and providers. I train the clinical team on how to interact with patients, how
Okay.
to communicate. So if there's a communication gap between the patient and the nurse or the doctor, even within that care team, I help bridge that gap and help bring the nurses and doctors together, because if they're not talking
Right.
core, then that impacts the patient experience as well.
Yes. 'Cause I found I don't want to generalize, but I've been around several doctors. You could tell that they knew their stuff,
Hmm, hmm.
but that
Bedside manner.
that social, and
Hmm.
you want when you're in need of medical aid, you want someone to, hey, fool me, act like you care, act like I'm just not
Right.
another patient. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and I'm sure you probably had those set conversations with some doctors, possibly who had that type of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I first got into patient experience, they would tell me, look, I'm here to save their life, not kiss their butt. And
Wow.
so, but that's what they're taught in school, is to save lives. That's what they get paid for. And
Mhm.
so what we're trying to teach them now is that you have to have that human connection.
Right.
You have to meet their emotional needs too, because right now I work at a pediatric hospital, and the experience is different. And these parents, their anxiety is
Yeah.
on 1,000, because they're used to going to the store, buying their kids things, feeding them shelter. But when it comes to their health and they can't do anything about it, that
Right.
anxiety is off the chain. And so I try to go in and really work with providers and show them, like, and coach them on how to have that human connection with those parents and with those kids, because sometimes they'll come in and talk to parent and don't address the child that's in the room.
Right.
And so there's a lot of coaching. I also take surveys, and I have a team that analyzes surveys. So the feedback that we get from our patients, our families, we take those and we analyze them, and we compare ourselves to other organizations to see, okay, how are we doing compared to them? But how are we doing year over year, month over month? Are we improving on our experience? How is our attitude towards our patients and families?
Yes, and I know it's, I won't go as far as to easy, but it's probably a natural thing for you to do because of your relationship with God.
Oh
But
my,
right.
yes.
So I'm saying,
Yeah.
obviously, you have to work with this whole world is a melting pot of a lot of people, a lot of different beliefs. So you do you deal with a lot of people who do not have that relationship, and also not only don't have the relationship, but are totally like almost they're on. I don't say necessarily they're on Lucifer's side, but they don't want none of that God stuff, that God business, as they say. Do you come in any situations with that with some with the doctors, nurses, billing, any people that you deal with in the hospital setting?
Well, so I did come across that once, and God knows that when you're on the job, that there are rules, right? And we have to abide by rules. And so I don't bring up. I did it once, and I won't do it again unless someone brings it up first.
Inquire, got you.
Yep, yep. So if they bring it up first, I will. But here's the thing, when people see your light, they'll start talking anyways. Um, I can
Yes,
walk
absolutely.
into some of the patient rooms and they just know, but sometimes you don't have to say anything. I think I was put in this role because I'm able to go into a room, a patient room, and pray for them, and they don't even know that I'm praying for them.
Yes,
I can intercede for them.
yes,
And so
absolutely.
that's what I love to do.
Right. Well, how does that work? I know it had rules because I know. See again now, right now these are in my notes. I knew when I started reading more stuff, but
Mhm.
because I know hospitals have chaplains
Mhm.
and those things. So obviously, but they're not necessarily. Are they necessarily employed by the hospital, or are they
Mhm.
called
They are.
in? Okay, okay, but do they have to abide? Because that's what they do. Do they have to? They're not on the same rule thing. How does that work?
Yeah, so there's a fine line when they go in. So they can't go in and say, "Hey, I'm Church of God in Christ," or "I'm Baptist, and this is what I believe, and I'm going to pray for you." It's more generalized, if so to speak. And then if they get to know that patient, if they're on the same page, absolutely. Now, I'm not going to say I haven't had those conversations with patients and their families because they started the conversation. So if they started, absolutely, I
Yes.
can join in on that conversation. But as far as a chaplain, um, they are there mainly to ease that anxiety. If a family member wants a chaplain, because there are some sick kids out here, which
Yes.
I had no clue. They're really there to go in and listen and and talk to them. And if they want prayer, they'll have a prayer with them too. And even in that prayer, it's generalized. I haven't
Okay.
seen it happen, but I know that it's not, it's more of a just a prayer that is kind of probably common, but
Right.
it's not the prayers that we're used to, like the
Right.
closet prayers that we have.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Um, I was reading here, it said he was Climb certified in the Harvard School of Business. What exactly is Climb?
So that is a program, that online program that Harvard started, and I was wanting to go back to school, and everyone's like, "Why don't you go back and get your doctorate? Why don't you?" I was like, "It's too expensive." um, but I wanted something that was very targeted to what I love to do and that will provide growth for me. And so I got a certification in strategy. And so there is this program that they have where You just take all these online classes and it just builds, and it's different classes around strategy. But you learn from some of the most successful people around the world. I won't even just say in this country, but around the world. And it's things um, that you would find in a regular classroom. And so
Okay.
that's what I was like, let me go that route for now because it's giving me the knowledge that I need for things that I'm doing now. It's so targeted to what I love to do, and it's strategy.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna jump around a bit here. Now I know she has a entrepreneurial spirit too, people. So okay.
Mhm.
So it said for 5 years you own Studio V Fashion and Image Consulting. Now are those two different entities?
No, so Studio V Fashion and Imaging Consulting, I started that a year after I moved to Columbus and started working for Ohio Health. And it was funny because it's something that I didn't think I was like I would do. My mission was to really talk to women about dressing for success. So, women who were going back into the workforce, women who have never been into the workforce, how do you dress for success? I wanted to help them build resumes and things like that. And, I had reached out to my hairstylist. I said, hey, can I set up shop in your salon and just talk to women? And she called me one day, and I was actually I was in I was about to buy a car. And she was like, hey, do you want to open up shop next door to me? You can, open a boutique. And so I was like, yeah. And then a month later, I was open a month
Wow.
later.
Wow.
And from there, God just elevated and ended up downtown Columbus with a boutique. And so now there are other boutiques and stores that are downtown, that's located downtown Columbus in this certain area where I was at. And it was fun because it was fun to see that God allowed me to set that stage to bring retail back to Columbus downtown.
Wow. And that was and see, I was gonna say, yeah, you pretty much kicked it out, but I see everything that you're saying, which will go forward in this conversation, how you acknowledging how God allowed things to
Absolutely.
occur in your life. I mean, just it's a natural thing. So that's I mean, I think that's awesome. Now you don't own the spot now, right?
I do not. That was part of God's plan, was to, because I wanted to keep it so bad, because that was a healing place. It was just not a boutique where women came to purchase clothes. They would sit there for hours and just chat and talk. And I've met so many great women having that. But when God began, after I got married, I was still in Columbus and my husband was in San Antonio. I was in San Antonio one Saturday when we were praying. We have this thing called Morning Glory, and sometimes it's at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. We're praying, and at that time, God was like, "You need to start. You need to surrender." And I was like, "What is that? What does that mean, God?" And He said, "You need to surrender." And as I was praying, I got out my iPad, and He just started downloading. And he gave me these. He was very specific what he wanted me to do, very strategic. And the first was I had to start releasing Ohio Health mentally. I had to start releasing that. He said, release that. He said, I need you to release Studio V. I need you to give that up. And the third was, I need you to get your LinkedIn page updated. And I did not like LinkedIn. I did not like it.
Mhm.
And so I began to do those three. Um, I sold everything out of Studio V. And then one week, I got my resume updated. I put up a profile picture on LinkedIn, got that updated. And then the next week, someone reached out and said, hey, I have a position that I think you're great for. It's located in Texas. Would you like to move?
And your husband was already in Texas.
In Texas, yeah.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
that's how God worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
And yeah, because
And
I
I
was
didn't reach
looking.
out to them, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So you and like you said, but you showed your obedience in terms of dating your link to all those things had to be in place for that call to even, to
Mhm.
transpire. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, this was interesting to me. Now you are now you're the founder and owner of the Kingdom Experience, the Experience Coach.
Mhm.
Now, two different entities, am I correct?
Yes.
Now, okay, so first question, which was first? Or did they both come together simultaneously?
So here's the thing, the experience coach came first, and that
Okay.
came about because people just started reaching out to me, "Hey, can you do this?" Actually, my sister, she would get clients, and then if their logo wasn't up to par or if they needed a website, she was like, "Well, just contact my sister." And so I began to do some work in that light, but my ultimate goal was to really help small businesses create experiences for their clients because I love doing it for Studio V. And I had so many return clients because they were like, man, this experience is just awesome. And so I just began to do that. And so part of this business is to be a coach, and all of the knowledge that God has given me, I can pour back into others. And I don't really charge a lot because it's just what I'm supposed to do. I want to help businesses. I want to help people be successful in everything that they do. And when you're starting off, you can't afford thousands of dollars to pay for that. You can't. People can't afford $5,000 for a website. It's just unbelievable.
Right. Okay, so and you deal with pretty much it doesn't matter the business. Is it?
No, I try to stay away from healthcare only because of you have that competing clause and stuff in
Yes.
your contract, and so I try to stay away from healthcare entities. But I've yeah, I'm helping someone get their school up and running. Um, I do retreats for physicians and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. Now with the Kingdom Experience,
Hmm.
this is geared more so of helping churches. Am I correct?
Yeah, so this is interesting because my husband he was like, "Look, what are you doing? What are you doing for God? Like you're in this 9 to 5 job, you're giving them all of your time. What are you doing to help build the kingdom?" And so I was in prayer, asking God, seeking God about purpose and the kingdom experience. Like He gave me the kingdom experience out of prayer, out of being in my closet. And so started building the kingdom experience, still in prayer, asking God, like, what does this look like? What is this? And I'm on my knees, and He was like, you can't charge for it.
Wow.
And I was like, what? I was like, I didn't say yes right away because I wanted to make sure that I heard the right thing. I
Yeah,
heard God
right.
clearly. And so I went back in my closet and He said, if you want to serve me, people talk about serving all the time. But there's always a dollar sign,
Attached to it,
a
yes.
cost to it attached to it. And He said, no, if you're going to serve me, services, they have to be free. Doesn't mean that people can't donate into it, but services have to be free. And it's funny because once I said yes to the kingdom experience, God opened so many doors as the experience coach where I had to say no to people. I had 8 clients and I
Wow.
had to say no, like I can't take anymore. So it's like when you say yes to God, for one thing, there are other doors that will open. And so all the services are free. And I visited enough churches to know that there is a need and there is a niche for it.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I was reading something you had said. Uh, you said, now I'm assuming this is you saying this, so, but it
Mhm.
says, when I said yes to God, when you just said that, see, I didn't fully grasp the magnitude of the commitment, and truthfully, I still don't completely understand it.
Mhm.
However, I can confidently say that I am honored to embrace whatever He has in store for me. So, um, saying yes to him, I'm assuming you're saying, okay, yes, God, I'm gonna do the yes, God, but basically, yes, I'm gonna listen whatever you say on anything, not my business, on my life, my marriage, my job. Should I eat a mango today or a pear? Whatever, everything. Seek Him first. So I'm assuming you're saying everything you do not do it without going to counsel and prayer with God.
I try to that's what I try to do. But there was so much in that yes. We say yes all the time and don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
And I'm in constant prayer, like, okay, God, because yes is a constant, but we have to understand that the journey may be different. And so it may be a different yes
Yes.
today than it was yesterday. One thing that came out of prayer that God really was trying to get me to see that I hadn't fully said yes. I
Okay.
may have said yes with my mouth, but I hadn't said yes. And I say that because I've been in corporate America for about 30 years now, and my identity was corporate America. That's who I was. And so God was like, if I take that away from you, would you still say yes?
Mhm.
Would you still say yes? I hadn't said yes to, yeah, God, I'll do this for you. But this right here, this is who I am. This is who I thought I was. And so I had to come to a point where I had to verbally say, God, if you take the 9 to 5 away from me, I still say yes. And that it was not easy. It was not easy because we know that sometimes God will test you to see. So
Yeah.
I was
Absolutely.
sitting on the edge of my seat, like, okay, God, I say yes. And there's no but. There's no but, you
Right.
know? So yeah.
Wow. Now, I was reading the, I guess you said your approach for the kingdom,
Mhm.
like the framework. I thought it was awesome. Um, and everything, even with your experience coach, like everything is aligned with scripture, which I
Absolutely.
which I absolutely love. I love that because sometimes we get away from scripture, a lot in a lot of areas. In fact, in my church, there's no song because a lot of songs are deemed as gospel songs
Hmm.
scripturally aren't correct at all. And like I said, in my church, they're very particular with that. No song be sung in my church that's not based by the word. So I
Hmm.
think that's very awesome. And I also saw like you had the acronym for kingdom. Some of the things I was looking at, just how you broke down the kingdom, KINGDON. But I love the 5 I's of kingdom: the
Hmm.
inspire, influence, inquire, impact, the insecurities. Talk about the insecurities piece.
So this is basically dealing with leadership. What I've seen in churches is that we know it's a temple, but we still have to have some components of business, of how to run a business.
Absolutely.
And so oftentimes what we do is we put people in these leadership positions who have no clue how to speak to people, how to manage people. They manage them as a boss and not a leader.
Right.
And so, my goal and the Kingdom Experience goal is to really create a foundation with the leadership. And one thing that I noticed is, and I noticed it because I used to volunteer at church, and the way people would talk to you, some of these people in these leadership position that would talk to
Yes.
you, and me, I'm
Excuse me.
like, I have a 9 to 5. Like, I'm a leader myself. You can't come in,
Right.
like, you can't talk to people that way.
Right.
And so, but it's sometimes they talk to you that way because they're so insecure with themselves. So because they're insecure with themselves, they feel like they have to belittle you. They have to tell you what to do. And
Right.
it's like, no, you can't do that, especially when you have volunteers, people who are giving up their time to work
Yes.
with you, and you don't have that human connection. Like you
Yeah.
can't do that. You're supposed to, as a leader, inspire people.
And that's interesting because while you're dealing with church, and I'm telling you something, um, I'm gonna say, sometimes church folks can be funny. Let's go and
Right.
say it.
Yes.
Yeah, church
Yes.
folks just can be
Mhm.
funny, and that's why I was speaking to someone about see some people outside church don't understand how strong of a ministry the ushers were in the Bible called porters because they're greeters. They're greeting people. I mean, you
Mhm.
can have the wrong attitude, and that person, for whatever reason, that morning, God told them, let's go to a church. And that person, the way he was greeting, would turn around and leave. And
Oh, no.
that's someone that you have
That's
lost.
a soul. Yes.
So I think
Mhm.
that's so important. Now, when you see a need of a church, do you receive a lot of, let's say you see a definite see, okay, this need, I assess this I think where we can go to grow. Do you receive any pushback from churches?
Well, here's the thing. I launched it, gave birth to it last month, but still praying about clients. So every client would not be
Okay,
um, a spirit experience, the kingdom experience. So right now I'm working with my current church. I'm going through a class which I graduate on Saturday to be able to serve, and we're going to hopefully start working with them. But right now it is just doing some assessment. I'm still at ground zero
okay,
with clients, and right now what I'm doing is watching churches, and so really doing some deep dives into their Facebook comments to look at themes like what am I seeing with some of these churches,
yeah,
and then because I have some lined up, it's just I'm not ready to say yes yet because every client is not my client, so I'm waiting to roll this out. And
wow,
actually, right now, I'm on the last leg of building a curriculum too.
okay,
So they'll be able to have a curriculum to um, work with too. Another important part of the kingdom experience is really looking at the process too. So, I'm all about the experience, all about the process. So, what does their new member orientation look like? What does that look like?
yeah,
Is there a process helping them build that, helping them train their ushers because
right,
sometimes they don't have that training.
right. And now, like for instance, a usher, a deacon, or whatever, it may look different in this century than it would have did 30 years ago. You
Mhm,
know, like we was dealing with I'm thinking my church in terms of now, obviously, what does waiting tables look like now opposed
mhm,
to 30 years ago? Obviously, you have to change with the times,
absolutely.
and people are not going to receive something from 30 years ago. You have to know your audience and know, because the
Mhm,
bottom line, like I said, we're in the soul business. So we definitely have to find the avenue, have the right method to get to the ultimate goal of
mhm.
souls. That's the ultimate goal.
Right.
Now, so now, are you in San Antonio now? That's where you live now.
No, we're in Dallas. So my husband, so we stayed a year apart. I was in Dallas, he was in San Antonio, and my husband is a storyteller. He's in media,
Mhm.
so it's just not easy to find a job. But when I tell you God opened that door for him, so he's now here in Dallas as well.
Okay, so speaking of, is this the gentleman you're referring to here?
Yes, it is. That's my hobby.
Yes.
You what's it
Now,
reference to?
you know what? I was going to ask you that because I
Okay.
was I was trying to get a picture,
Mhm.
and I saw we had like 45 or some mutual friends. I'm like,
Yeah.
then I saw I said, did he go to Grambling? I said, so okay, yeah. So yeah, you have
Yeah.
absolute great taste.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
So
that's that's my hobby.
okay, so let me ask you this here.
Mhm.
Because how long have you guys been married?
We have been married 2 years. We got married July 2022. 2022.
Okay, now how has your marriage to him and obviously your relationship, how has that helped you in the things that you're doing, all the different ventures that you're doing?
So here's the thing. My husband and I, we started. this journey of commitment before we got married. And so he and I made sure that we had a solid foundation before getting married. And so we prayed weekly. We had Bible study together before moving into marriage. And so it made it a little bit easier moving into marriage. I will say that it has been it's been a journey. I love it. I absolutely love it. I
Awesome.
think what has helped is that he is truly a partner, and he's learning. I'm learning, and one thing I'm learning to do, because you have to understand that being in corporate America for 30 years, being basically doing her thing for 30 years, and then to get married and have someone say, "Well, have you thought about this?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, yeah, I have." So, what is your opinion? Like, what?
Right, right.
Um, but when you listen to your husband's perspective, and when you know that you know that you know that you have a man of God, someone who gets up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're in the closet praying, they're seeking God, that why wouldn't I listen to that man? Why wouldn't I listen to him? Because he's listening to God, you know. And so that's why it's easier for me to say yes to my husband, because I know he's saying yes, he's being submitted to God.
Awesome. That's absolutely good, great for you to say, because a lot of times you don't hear that, um, in terms of, again, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of times you don't hear women saying that thing about their husband. But what's key, what you said is, you say, "Hey, wait, I know he's seeking God,
Hmm.
so it's not like he's listened to Tobar on 79th Street or
Yeah,
something."
yeah. He knows
You know what I'm
he
saying?
has a tough one, so he has a
Yeah,
tough wife. Like, she is not
yeah. I
like,
Yes, right, right. So,
I
yeah,
just
and
don't say yes. Mhm.
yes, that's awesome. Well, you know what? This have been absolutely great. But this is what I do want to do, because I think what you're doing is absolutely awesome. I see
And
this
then
here.
we gotta talk about conversations with God too,
Oh,
you
you
know?
know what? We absolutely do. You know what I'm looking at? That's on the other side. No, we absolutely would. But I'm gonna do this real quick here. Now, is
Mhm.
this the correct? Is this the correct?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, the Kingdom Experience. This is for churches who want to try to get things together, and for businesses, the Experience Coach.
Yes.
The experienced coach. I'm gonna show it again. Now listen, I don't want you to think I didn't know, because I do have that here in my notes. I definitely definitely do.
Well, if we are out of
Uh,
time, we can just,
no,
it's
oh
okay.
no, what this is some every day. I am the CEO, proprietor. I am the leader. I can go as long as I want. That's a good thing, having your own thing. Now, let me take this off. Okay, the conversations with God. I was seeing
Mhm.
a lot of your posts on that, and I thought I had. I thought I may not have uploaded it, but I know I did. I did have a picture, but I know. Tell us about conversations with God. I heard it was
Yeah.
big, 'cause the big thing you had, it was in Ohio a couple weeks ago.
It was. So conversation with God was it also came out of prayer. And I remember sitting on my bed, putting lotion on, and talking to God about prayer. Like, man, God, like, I don't I don't know how to do this. And he said, just have a conversation with me. Just have a conversation. And so I said, if I'm having these struggles with my walk and praying, like I know other women are. And so it started out just doing a 30-day challenge of prayer. Like, hey, let's get together, let's start praying, and began to do that. And God gave me conversations with God. And it is, again, it's free. And so it started out, I did my first retreat here in Dallas, Texas, and I rented out an Airbnb and just had women come in. It's all around prayer, purpose, and prophecy. And I have different speakers that come in and talk about prayer, talk about linking your purpose to prayer and prophecy. And had my second one in Columbus, Ohio, which was I mean, when I tell you God came in and just, man, it was amazing. So we had prayer on that Friday, and then the retreat, the experience that was on that Saturday, and it was all linked around the sound. The sound. What sound are we hearing from God? And people were delivered. It's not at a church. Have it at an Airbnb so people can feel comfortable
Comfortable,
in
yes.
that space. Hmm.
Yeah, let me ask this now. Did any women come that at this point they, I say yes, God, someone may just have brought them, and then they saw God in a new light by coming to this retreat? Maybe a babe in Christ, so to speak.
Yeah, there was this young lady there, young girl. She was the youngest. I think she was in her 20s. And I watched her throughout. She came that Friday for prayer, and she was over in the corner. And she came that Saturday, and she just talked about how this was so needed for her, that she had so many questions, but she left with answers. And but it was a safe space, and that's what I keep hearing, is that this is a safe space, and women just opened up. And because of where she's at in life, she's trying to make sure that she separates herself. But at that age, you
Yeah,
have either your family looking at you like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? And then you have your peers looking at you, and she's like, I'm all in, I'm all in, but wanting and needing those tools to help her stay in the game. Um, there were so many that were released out into the ministry. I had a call with someone yesterday and was like, man, I've been full since your retreat, and God gave me the name of my ministry in your retreat. And so it has been eye opening for me, because I never thought that I would be here. I thought I would be that person who would be the business person at the church, but not actually stepping out on faith. And God's like, I will use you. You don't have to worry about it. I will use you. I will give you the confidence. I will give you the boldness that you need to successfully roll out what I have for my people. And He's given me this thing of hugging. And I didn't know what this was about, but He wants me to embrace the women. So it's not about just the laying of hands, it's about embracing them, it's about hugging them, it's about holding them, to show them that this is how God feels about you. He loves you. And in order to show that love, it's about the touch. It's about the touch. And so that's something that I'll be implementing into the practice, is that when we pray, it's about embracing, it's about hugging them. And so, like I said, everything is free. God already told me He supplies my needs. And so, whatever He gives me is not mine, anyways, it's for His people.
so how often, because obviously I know you've already planning the next one. How often will you do these retreats?
I told God, I said, look, can I get a break? Because I'm tired. Because I've been traveling. So, not just with
Good.
conversations with God, but I've been on the road with my job as well. Like, God has opened doors for me to have speaking engagements with my job. And I said, I've been away from my husband.
Right.
Uh, but it's whatever He says. I believe the next one might be in Chicago, but for some reason, Atlanta has been coming up, and I'm like, Lord, who in Atlanta? And then someone asked me in Virginia, and then Louisiana. So I don't know when the next one will be. I'm hoping probably springtime, only
Okay.
because winter. However, I did do a book club, and so we would meet every Monday via Zoom. So we'll probably do
Okay.
something like that.
Well, if you do something in Chicago, definitely let me know.
Mhm.
We have a strong women's group at our church, and I would definitely
Mhm.
let women know, and just some other ladies that I know, and even some younger. It's great 'cause I have some. It's funny. I have some students now that are like just they're grown, and it's funny,
Mhm.
and and they sometimes still They still they inbox me. They have a question about certain stuff. I said, well, okay, it's crazy, but and I.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to them about that because it was some, and I still inbox some. Take that down off your post. It
I
be
know,
still
right?
some
I know.
consistent.
Yeah.
Some listen and some don't. And
Mhm.
I only do it
But you
once.
plant the seed. You
Yeah,
plant the seed.
yep. I
Yeah.
do it once. Now you do whatever. So I know it does be some younger lady. That's why I inquired with their people who not necessarily had made that step yet to be around some other strong sisters in that and
Mm-hmm.
see that it is okay that because a lot of times people think that the people that are in church they got it all together. The church is a
Right.
hospital. Every
It
like
is. It really
I
is.
said, man, everybody messed up. And I said, they
Mm-hmm.
look good and everything. I said, yeah, I be clean sometimes. I said, hey, but yeah, I'm like this. If I was God, I'd have been through with Danielle a long time ago.
Yeah,
But
Felicia too, right?
you know what I'm
I
saying?
know. I know, but
Yes,
you have to create those safe spaces for them,
yes,
and that's why, these are intimate. So
yeah,
no more than 20, 25 women can come to these retreats because it has to be that safe space for everyone
yeah,
to talk.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it can't be a conference. Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I'm tripping. I was so caught up because I told you I asked a lot of my questions were off the cuff because we more like I told you you would say something that. But thank you again because I definitely wanted to get to the conversation with God and I had that starred on my notes. Like I can't believe I almost forgot that. But thank you for working together. But before I go though, it's something. It is tell your husband those steppers he got on. I kind of zoomed in. Hey, listen, what size shoe he wear? I said, 'cause I'm like, hey, listen.
I'm gonna have to
Those,
tell them.
listen, and you can rock a lot of stuff with them. I saw it. I said, okay, okay, okay.
Right,
But
right,
you say he with
yeah.
the grab, man. I mean,
Yeah, he's on TV, so I got to keep him together now. He dresses himself.
oh yeah, but hey, still, yeah, see, he had to go to those Lyceum things. Ask him about Lyceum. If he went to Grambling, he know about Lyceum. We had to
Oh,
go to
really? Okay.
convocations, and you had to dress. If you didn't, you couldn't.
Right, right.
Yes, but that's cool. But Felicia, thank you so much for joining me. I know we've
You're
been trying to do
welcome.
this for a minute, but I know your
Yeah.
schedule is going back and forth. I like when you send me a little invite. I haven't forgotten. I said, okay, good. Okay. So, sometimes people say, oh yeah, yeah. They're like, well, I ain't think about that, dude. But thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
staying true. And
Okay.
tell you, first of all, we know each other about 25 years, maybe somewhere
Mhm.
around there. I am
Yeah.
so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm not surprised by nothing that you're doing. And
To
I
God
know
be the
God,
glory.
yes, and I know He still has more for you to do. And I know you're submitting yourself to do that. And thank you so much for joining me
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah. No problem. Anytime. All
And
right.
this is
Excited
Miss
for you
Felicia
too.
Hurst. Oh, thank you. Pray for me. Pray for me.
Yeah.
Okay, take care.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye. Thank you, y'all. Again, that was the interest. I always wanted to talk with her because I know it's a powerful sister. Like I said, I've been knowing her for a while, and her journey has continued to grow. And there's things tonight I learned. Hope you got something for him. But hey, we back on the mix. I'll be back on Friday this week with the Friday Fable, like always. And I'm back in the studio next week with another guest, probably. So, probably I will have another guest next week. So much love to y'all. Continue support. Continue support. And like I said, support this sister. Um, if you have a business, you want to get some things started to help you. She said she's pretty much don't charge nothing. The experiencecoach.com. So go to her thing, experiencecoach.com. And for churches, I don't know if she's gonna travel, but she's in the Dallas area right now. The Kingdom Experience, teaching leadership strategies and whatnot. Because we have to be about God business and do it decently and in order. So definitely look out. So much love to y'all. Thanks again for the support. Keep looking out. I'm trying to keep bringing the content that I'm interested in, and I hope you're interested in, and I hope it helps. Much love to y'all. See y'all when I see y'all, and it's going forward. Vote, people. Vote, vote. Holla.
Many many things going on in the world today. Every time Dick and Harry got something to say. But what they said ain't got no fabric to it. Yeah, takes some thoughts with dice right through it. It's all about rumors and people feuding. If we're not uplifting, then what we doing? Yeah, they love the culture, yet they trying to wreck it. But are we ready to go hard to protect it? If we don't stand firm, then we're sure to fall. Are you ready to fight the stain and accept the call? Or it's all about dealerships and the mall? Now I'm ready to go for broke like Apostle Paul. I'm charged with the task to keep it real. Moving straight forward, not about to yield. Tackling every subject, yeah, you know the drill. R.I.P. Guru, I bring that mass appeal. Our ancestors stood tall despite abuse. We got all the tools, so what's our excuse? It's time to show a face and take off the mask. It's